Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to Korean Atlanta Mentorship. And in this video, I'm going to talk about why you probably shouldn't listen to most people. Okay. And you know what's really sad? Okay. I've tried to help many people throughout the years, and I feel like I haven't helped too many. And I'm talking about my real life, right? I know there are people on YouTube who are like, man, you have helped me so much. I get that, right? But in my real life, I feel like people just kinda completely ignored me, berated me, and told me I'm an idiot and wanted me to fail. And the sad part is, they would say things to me like, "Well, what do you know? You don't have any life experience." And this is when I was a young man, and I was, like, very hurt by that because, anytime I shared any ideas I had, I always wanted it to be so that I can succeed with the people that I know. So when I step on the top of the mountain, it's not just by myself, it's with, a group or tribe or whatever, right? And I think because I experienced so much, I don't know what the best word is, denigration of just my own character, I eventually became like jaded, and I just kind of became like, Edna Krabappel here. I don't even smoke cigarettes, but whenever I try to help people and they do kind of stupid stuff, I'm just like, yeah, whatever, I tried, right? And there have been people in my life where, let's say 7, 8 years ago, I was hoping that we could become successful together. They told me what a giant idiot I was and told me like, try to like bring me down. And then 7, 8 years later, it's like, "Hey, do you remember me?" And I was like, "Yeah, I remember how much you sucked." Right? And that's why, eventually I thought, well, I'll just kind of teach on stage and not really give advice one on one. I don't really like to give advice one on one, just because I don't like to feel the sense of responsibility. And I also don't like people, doing the opposite of what I tell them to do, right? Like, you ever have people in your life where you really want the best for them, and for some reason, like, I don't know why this is, it feels like they're mocking you, and then they're struggling because they just did the exact opposite of what you said. This is why I won't help most young people either. I'll just be like, yeah, I'll just tell you like the best advice that would have really propelled me to millions within a short amount of time when I was your age. But I'll actually be surprised if anybody listens to me, right? And again, the internet is a little bit different from real life because on the internet, people are actually searching for you, right? Like there's a completely different dynamic with YouTube, with internet versus real life. Real life people are just there, and I don't know what it is. Okay, I don't know what it is, but with people in real life, it's just, you want to give them your best and help them to be their best, and they just kind of act like their main focus is acting like that they're better than you, which is sad, right? Which is really sad. Now, what's the point of this video? Well, the point of this video is kind of like advice to myself maybe 10 to 15 years ago, which is don't listen to most people. Don't listen to their opinions. Don't listen to their advice. And again, it's not everybody's, it's just most people's because most people don't know what they're talking about. Now, if most people knew what they were talking about, would we live in a society where we have compilations, hours and hours of footage of people just recording themselves on camera about how they're on camera in front of a camera how they're struggling? It is so easy for me nowadays because, if you, let's say, did a Google search on this like 5 or 6 years ago, right? About compilations of people complaining about how they can't survive financially, right? Viral TikTok rants, inflation, cost of living, inflation makes living impossible. Newsflash, people, like if you just record yourself about how you're struggling, that's not going to really fix things. Or maybe you might get some ad revenue off of that. I don't know. But here, people are struggling financially. TikTok rants on people not being able to afford what they used to. Inflation, financial struggle, financially struggling in 2020. It's endless. It is endless. And it is so bizarre to me that people don't really seem to bat an eye on this, right? TikTok users struggle with inflation. Oh, best football edits. I don't even like football. Okay. um. Oh, well, at least this one's good. Weight loss, right? So some good news there. People struggling with the cost of living, high prices, yada 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 yada. And I warned people about this like 10 years ago because I remember I was like almost homeless. It's funny, I grew up in a rich neighborhood and I kind of foresaw like the problems of our generation. And maybe I was like, quote, too red pilled too early, right? I don't even like to use the term red pill anymore, but I was like, all right, guys. So if houses in our area, because I'm from Southern California, are eventually going to cost millions of dollars to buy, we need to build multi-million dollar businesses. You know what I mean? And everybody was just thought I was insane. And everybody that I know in that area, pretty much, almost nobody owns a home in where we grew up. It's kind of sad, right? But then when I said that, I was just kind of mocked. And now we live in an era where you just kind of find people on the struggle bus really easily because again, society especially is a scam against young people, right? And if you're a young person listening to the advice of other young people, um, don't be surprised that you find so many TikTok compilations of young people struggling, right? Struggling to pay off debt, struggle, blah, 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 blah. Forced financial advice on TikTok. Oh, I watch Graham from time to time. Uh, 12 minutes of terrible credit card debt, women drowning in credit card debt, blah, 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 blah. And again, if people had been given good advice when they were young, we probably wouldn't see these compilation videos, right? And that's why I say, just kind of avoid uh most people or don't listen to them, right? And if you do listen to them, so here's the thing, everything's a trade-off, right? If you don't listen to them, you're not going to have social acceptance, right? But just because certain advice is popular doesn't mean it's good for you. Look at all that advice that we got back in the day about going to college. That only worked for a certain generation. I almost 99% guarantee the average person who goes to college is going to struggle after they graduate. Well, I don't want to say 99. I'm pretty sure there's some good kids out there who make some good money, right? Doctors, lawyers, right? But then I even see videos about people hating being doctors because, again, it's all a financial matrix. Okay. But the reason I thought about this is because you know how I made that video about that nurse yesterday crying over $20,000 credit card debt, and we're like, this is so easy to solve. Like, and I think this stuck in my mind because one of the comments, like at the top of look at this, 3,000 comments, was someone giving advice to file Chapter 7 bankruptcy. Worth it. I'm currently debt free except my car payment. And it's like, okay, like, what? Is this the advice that these young people are giving each other? This is why I don't have TikTok or I don't have an account, and I definitely won't download it on my phone. I heard it's a Chinese spy device. I don't know if that's true or not, but I don't have TikTok on my phone. And maybe it's because, I don't wanna see comments like this or people trying to give me advice like this. But yeah, $20,000 credit card debt, you're a nurse. We've done so many simulations of this. It's a joke, right? And I'm not talking about her struggles or a joke. That it's a joke to get rid of the debt when you have a nurse's salary and only $20,000 of credit card debt, right? But again, that's what happens when you kind of listen to the masses, and then you know a lot of people. This is how they operate. Okay, I'm going to tell you the truth. There's a quote by Thomas Sowell, and I'm going to show you what that quote is. Thomas Sowell. And if you want to know who Thomas Sowell is, this guy's a genius. He was like creating one book a year. I'm like, I haven't even created a book in my entire lifetime, and he's just spitting out like these crazy. observations, and he's one of the smartest dudes I've ever read. Okay, so Thomas Sowell. He- Let me just kind of try to semi remember the quote. Bureaucrat's procedure, not results. So here's the thing, okay? There's a quote by Thomas Sowell, and here's the type of society that essentially we've created for ourselves, where it's a bureaucrat factory. And so the way that most people's minds works is that they think like a bureaucrat. Now, if you're a bureaucrat working the civil service, I'm pretty sure you know the system's a giant scam, especially if you're in this channel. It's kind of like if you work for a bank, right? Like you probably know that banking is a giant scam, but if you need to make the money, I get you, right? I get you. You got to do what we do to eat. But i- if you want to know how the average person thinks and why I don't really give advice to most people or even try anymore these days, um, you have to understand for most people, procedure is everything and outcomes are nothing. That's it. That's why um when you're more results oriented and you have advice that most people um haven't really heard of, or it's not really popular with the masses, people will get really, really angry with you, right? That's how most people's brains work. And so if the stuff that we taught to the children or the youth nowadays worked, well, we wouldn't get all these compilation videos, right? We wouldn't. But people are giving each other this awful, I guess, awful advice. Chapter 7 bankruptcy, worth it. Those are words that I honestly can't imagine in my lifetime I would ever say. And who knows, I might eat my words, right? File chapter 7 bankruptcy. It's 100% worth it. And I just all right. Well, yeah. So again, point of the video, I don't think most people you should listen to most people, right? Because if it's kind of like what Dave Ramsey says, most people are broke. So if you want to be how most people are, then just do what they do. And if you don't, then don't do what they do, right? But this is why what's sad, and again, it's just from life experience, is that I just don't, especially in my real life, try to give advice to most people just because I'm a little bit jaded. And I'm like, whatever, I tried. And listen, you didn't do what I said you didn't do what I said that you should do. I'm not gonna be, like, emotionally invested and try to help people just because, like, people don't listen. It's really weird. Most people's ego is more important than their own success, right? Like, way more important their ego than their success. And it's kinda like the Titanic. Remember in the movie The Titanic when the people were told that the ship was gonna sink, instead of trying to, like, get out, they got angry at the news. Like, am I imagining this? I think this was the movie Titanic, right? That's how most people are. So that's why, I always try to make myself laugh, because if I think about this too much, it's kind of like I don't want to slide into a depression. You know what I mean? So, I always try to make myself laugh, and laughter is the best medicine. And it's really ironic how people these days don't laugh anymore. Right? No jokes. I remember the reason why I hated college so much, and this is just random tangent. The difference between high school and college for me is that when I was in high school, I could tell a joke and then, the classroom would laugh and like, yeah, I might be a comedian. In fact, one girl wrote in my yearbook that I should be a comedian. And then when I went to college and I told a joke, like, I swear there were zero people who laughed. And I was like, what is this heck hole? Right? Like, I didn't want to be a part of it anymore. And it was like, what kind of prison is this? And this is why, I think a lot of prisoners go insane once they leave prison, because they can't handle being, human beings we weren't meant to be independent people, right? And I probably should stop, going through that rabbit hole. But what I'm saying is that I always liked high school better than college, because I feel like people understood me and my emotions and what I was trying to do. Whereas, post high school life, it's just me versus everybody's giant undeserved ego, right? Undeserved ego. Kinda sad, but yeah. Alright, well, that's it for today. This is Korean Atlanta Mentorship. Let's hope if I can crank out another Velocity Banking video today. This is, I don't know, should I start calling myself Cam instead of Korean Atlanta Mentorship? I was just looking up, like, KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken versus KFC. I don't think I even hear the words Kentucky Fried Chicken from the KFC commercials anymore 'cause, I remember a while back, they stopped emphasizing the fried because they wanted, like, to emphasize healthier options, and I'm like, "Who cares?" Be proud of your identity, right? If you serve fast food, don't try to hide it, right? It's like, the old Bill Burr joke. I don't know if you ever heard it, but, like, McDonald's, screwed up when they started serving, like, healthy food, like salads, because that's them admitting their food is unhealthy, right? Random tangent. Okay, well, that's it for me, lots of rambling. Alright, have a great day. This is, Korean Atlanta Mentorship.